Born on April 18, 1963 in Brookline, Massachusetts, Conan Christopher O'Brien is an American writer, producer, comedian, and talk show host, best known for his multiple late-night talk shows. Conan started his career as a writer on multiple comedy television shows. He is a Harvard graduate whose comedy has been characterized as awkward and self-deprecating. Taking over for David Letterman on Late Night in 1993, Conan later found himself in the middle of a controversy after he took over The Tonight Show and left after only 7 months, as ratings slipped and Jay Leno had decided to return as host. But you already knew that. So, here are 10 things you probably didn't know about Conan O'Brien. Number 10. He is very intelligent. Conan was born in Brookline, Mass. to Thomas Francis O'Brien, an epidemiologist and professor of medicine at Harvard, and to Ruth O'Brien, a retired lawyer. That's right, his father was a doctor and his mother was a lawyer. He was living the real-life Cosby Show, except without all the, Conan was the managing editor of his high school newspaper. In his second year of high school, he was an intern for Congressman Robert Drinan. In his senior year, he won the National Council of Teachers of English writing contest. After graduating as valedictorian, he then attended Harvard University, where he studied history and literature and graduated magna cum laude. Just as a side note, while attending Harvard, Conan was classmates with his future boss, NBC president Jeff Zucker. Number 9. He was a prankster in college. Maybe it was just the stress of attending such a prestigious school, but Conan gained a reputation at Harvard for pulling pranks. One prank saw him contacting Bill Cosby and telling him that he was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from Harvard, but he would have to fly out to get it. Cosby believed it and flew out, only to be picked up by Conan's parents and being presented with a bowling trophy from O'Brien. Obviously, this was before everyone knew about Cosby and, Another prank saw O'Brien and a group of students dress up as construction workers. They then called the local police and told them that a group of college students were dressed up as construction workers and were jackhammering the road. They then called the state police and told them that a group of college students were dressed up as local police and were harassing a group of construction workers, in hopes that the state police would then arrest the local police. Number 8. He stole Robin's costume. One of Conan's more infamous pranks came when Burt Ward, who played Robin in the famous Batman TV series from the 60s, came to speak at Harvard while O'Brien was attending. Ward brought the famous costume with him. Dressing up as security guards, O'Brien and a few other students stole the iconic outfit and then called Ward after, pretending to be various Batman villains before eventually giving the suit back. Reportedly, Ward had a good sense of humor about it and took it in stride. Number 7. The Simpsons saved his career. In 1988, 3 years after graduating from college, Conan was hired by Lorne Michaels as a writer for Saturday Night Live. Previous to this, O'Brien had written for a couple other TV shows, including HBO's Not Necessarily the News and the short-lived The Wilton North Report. During this time at SNL, Conan wrote a few memorable sketches, including Mr. Short-Term Memory and The Girl Watchers. Things quickly took a turn, though, when in the year of 1991, Conan suffered a failed engagement. A TV pilot called Look Well starring Adam West that he wrote was not picked up, and he also left Saturday Night Live stating that he was, quote, burnt out. Conan said that he had no plans after leaving SNL, and that he was just going to walk around New York until an idea hit him. Fortunately, shortly after leaving SNL, Conan got a call from the Simpsons producers who wanted to hire him as a writer. He accepted, writing for the show for 2 years. Number 6. Several future stars worked for him. Conan has been around doing late night for over 20 years. Currently, he is the longest tenured late night host that is currently on television. And because of this, he has met hundreds of celebrities, not just the ones that sat on his couch, but Conan has actually employed some future television and movie stars. Ellie Kemper, Mindy Kaling, and John Krasinski, all of which ended up starring on The Office before moving to bigger things, all worked as interns for Conan. He even had some fairly famous writers, including Better Call Saul's Bob Odenkirk and Louis C.K. Before all the, Number 5. He wanted to be a tap dancer. O'Brien knew from an early age that he wanted to be in show business, but he was unsure in what capacity. That's why he begged his parents to buy him tap shoes. He said in an interview with Rolling Stone, "I had these very antiquated ideas of what an entertainer was. But you don't have to know how to be a tap dancer today. I used to go to these lessons. Just a group of young black kids and this skinny white kid with bright orange hair and his tap shoes in a box." Number 4. He used to sneak into Letterman's set. Back when he was writing for SNL, Conan admitted that he used to sneak down to Studio 6A, which was where David Letterman was filming Late Night at the time. He said he would sneak in, sit at the desk, and write comedy bits. Conan said of sneaking into the studio, quote, "It was more like, this is where he sits? Cool. Really, the point of the story is that NBC has terrible security. Ironically, this would be the same studio he would later film in when he took over Late Night." Number 3. He had a favorite character to write for on The Simpsons. Conan was a writer for The Simpsons for a couple years, with his most notable episode being Marge versus the Monorail. During this time, Conan said that his favorite character to write for was Mr. Burns. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Conan said that Mr. Burns has 3 traits that make for great comedy writing: old age, riches, and an evil persona. Perfect if you are a comedy writer. Number 2. He was constantly on the verge of getting replaced. Conan took over Late Night in 1993, and during its early run, the NBC executives weren't quite sold on O'Brien, and it's reported that NBC would talk weekly about replacing him. Their pick? Greg Kinnear, the talk show host turned actor who hosted the TV show Later directly after The Late Show. Once O'Brien started to gain a following and his ratings steadily increased, NBC decided to keep Conan. Just as a side note, Conan wasn't even their first choice for the host of the show. Initially, they wanted Dana Carvey. Number 1. Losing The Tonight Show wrecked him emotionally. I don't need to go over what happened with Leno and Conan in Tonight. It's been pretty well documented by now. What's not as well known is Conan's emotional state afterward. According to Conan, after he was home without a show, he felt a mix of elation, anger, sorrow, and confusion. And according to his wife Liza, he was, quote, in the house all the time, constantly walking from room to room looking for something to do. I said, "This can't last. It'll drive us crazy." He was so sweet about it, and I felt like such a jerk. But seriously, I almost rented an office for him.